Like all of you, no doubt, we here at the Family Research Council are continuing to pray for those in Maui, those who are suffering from last week's devastating wildfires. The images are absolutely heartbreaking. I'm sure you've seen them. You've watched it. It is unbelievable to describe what has taken place there. But we know that God is the God of all comfort. And last Sunday, Pastor Steve Santos of Calvary Chapel, Westside, Maui, delivered such a message of hope. And he's here joining me now from Maui, live to discuss this. Pastor Steve Santos, the pastor of Calvary Chapel, Westside, Maui. Welcome to Washington Watch, sir.
Aloha. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Well, it's our blessing, brother. God bless you. I wish it was under different circumstances, but we are so grateful. As I understand, your church building remains standing, and we certainly thank God for that. But so many of your members literally lost everything. They lost all their possessions in this world. Tell us what you've experienced, what your church family is experiencing.
Well, basically, Tuesday morning, the power went out about 5 o'clock in the morning, and my wife and I went to the other side of the island to run some errands that were needed, which we wouldn't normally with that kind of wind, but she's also had some physical pain, so she needed to go to Kaiser and get that checked, and doing good now, pretty much. But as we came home, the phone lines and the power lines were doing the kind of jump rope thing, if you've ever seen that when the winds get really high. And as that happened, I knew it's time to get home fast, and hoping the power would maybe be on. But when we got home, the power was still out. So I told my wife, I'm going to run to Lahaina, get some generators out of our church stuff and put one here at the house and one up north, and just to help people, whatever. Didn't think things would go as long as they have. But as I got to Lahaina, traffic was backed up forever. Saw that the only way out was one way. The highway was closed because of poles down. It was one 2-lane road, and there was a splintered pole just hanging in the wind, bouncing and bouncing in the wind. And so I made it back under that, but I knew that was going to block off all of everybody in town, and so that's kind of what happened. Everybody got trapped there. And
wow.
And when you had a fire that started up at the top by the phone lines to that, with 70 to 100 mile an hour gusts, there was no stopping it,
Yeah, unbelievable. And the images have just been heart-wrenching on this end. And yet in the midst of all the suffering and pain that you and everyone on the island is experiencing, you delivered a powerful message this past Sunday that God is the God of comfort. Tell us a little bit about that and how it was received.
Well, basically, Thursday morning, after we knew how terrible everything was and burned as badly, we got to see a lot. And power has been out. No social media, no internet, no text messaging, no phone calls. A little bit the last few days has gotten better. We just got a Starlink to be able to set this up. But the power is here, but there's no communication, or there's problems with communication still. But long story short, we were in that place where you're desperate. And I was praying in the morning, God, what do I tell these people that have lost their children? They've lost their tutus, the grandmas and papas, and everything they have. That you tell them, hey, well, have hope. Jesus is good. He's the God of all hope. And they're like, well, blankety blank your God.
All right, Steve, I believe we've lost you. All right, well, Pastor Steve Santos, live with us from Maui. What an incredible story of hope, of courage, of faith, and of keeping the people there hopeful. It's, we taught yesterday, Samaritan's Purse, literally 17 tons worth of relief aid that they delivered to the island yesterday, and they are on the ground today, even as we speak. That actually was going to be my next question to Pastor Santos as to those efforts with Samaritan's Purse and how they're going and what it's like working with them. All right, Steve, can you hear me now?
Can you
All
hear
right,
me
there
now?
we go.
There we
Yeah, we've got you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Samaritan's Purse is on the ground. How are the efforts coordinating with them going?
Well, I'm just starting to. I've met with the guys one time. They were talking about using our building that's still there for a kind of command center once they get things going on this in Lahaina. I'm not sure where they're at on the other side right now, but they are, we're trying to piece it together. And with the lack of communication by phone or text message even, that's been one of the hardest things with that. But looking forward to doing more with that. That looks like it's on the other side over there somewhere. This is Lahaina, obviously.
We were talking with them just yesterday. They've got 17
that right
tons
there. Hold
of
on,
relief
Can
aid.
you hold on that right there? Can you go back to that picture? If there's any chance.
Yeah, there they are, right there.
That's my daughter's house. That's my daughter and my family's house.
Wow. Steve, listen, we've got less than 30 seconds. How can we be praying for you and the people there in Maui, real quickly?
Be praying that people's hearts are open to hear the message that God didn't do this, but that God is their hope through this. And be praying for people, be praying for believers and Christians to pray and ask God where they give their money.